According to reports, Israel has asked the UN to leave northern Gaza within 24 hours. They've asked UN operations to be relocated to southern Gaza immediately. The ultimatum of 24 hours has been given to UN officials as well as civilians who are in northern Gaza at the point. The big question now is a ground offensive in Gaza imminent? I'm Akali Kadambani there on ground in Tel Aviv. Kadambani, take us to the ground situation at this point. Israel has asked both UN officials as well as civilians who are in northern Gaza to relocate immediately to southern Gaza.
Well, yes, this has come, the news report has come that Israel has asked all these civilians and UN staff, including UN staff, to leave northern Gaza immediately and to move backwards. Now, there is a build-up at the border, and it is expected that there might be a ground assault anytime very soon. But there is also a factor of now it being the 7th day of what had happened on last Saturday, when Hamas had attacked Israeli civilians. The terrorists had attacked the Israeli civilians here in southern Gaza. Since then, there have been hostages, more than 100 hostages of several nationalities, but mostly Israelis, who have been there. Now, Israel has been asking for their safe return. It has not happened. There has been continuous attack. Even yesterday, there was an attack in Jerusalem. Apart from that, there is a barrage of rockets which are being fired continuously from Gaza into Israel. There is another border open at Hezbollah at the northern borders. There are some missile attacks from Syrian borders. So these are the things which are happening, and it looks like now the final assault is to be taken up anytime soon, and or there is a preparedness which has to be shown that now it is supposed to happen now before anything else goes wrong from the third parties. There is interference from any third parties, or that there is an effort to build such a pressure that the hostages are released. Now, what exactly that warning means, whether the civilians should be leaving from that side of Gaza, is yet to be seen, because every party who has been here, like Secretary Blinken, who was here yesterday, before that James Cleverly, he was here. UN has been continuously asking for de-escalation. Several countries in the world have asked for a de-escalation, but that has not happened. So what exactly this means is that Israel is ready for escalating it further if the hostages are not released, and that might happen within 24 hours. So these 24 hours are really very important if any party has to move to de-escalate. If the hostages are released, there are chances that there might be a de-escalation, because there is a huge human tragedy which is unfolding in Gaza, because in spite of Israel's claim of striking the targets precisely, this time what has happened is that there are several civilian casualties, hundreds of civilian casualties. Now, that is something which Israel also wants to avoid, and has asked the civilians to move backwards. Israel has been saying that it has been hitting the terrorist targets, but also civilians are being impacted as the numbers are coming in. On the other side, even Israelis here, the numbers are climbing, the death toll is climbing, but now we will have to see what happens in next 24 hours, which way this conflict goes. Aarti?
Right, Kadambani, take us to the ground situation at this point. Now, Israel in fact said that they did rescue a couple of people who had been kidnapped and taken to Gaza. Do we have a number of how many more people are yet to be rescued, how many more are kidnapped? Of course, there have been reports of a woman who had been kidnapped from the Israeli music festival as well.
Well, there is no clarity about this, whether she was rescued after being taken to Gaza, because there are some reports which say that actually she returned the very same day at that time, and the terrorists, she had walked away from the terrorists somehow on the day when these partygoers were murdered and kidnapped. So there is a bit of it's not clear how she escaped, but it's one thing which is very clear is that there are hostages, and the forces have been notifying the family that their loved ones have been taken hostages. Now there are some families which are appealing to the terrorists that their family members should be released, but that has not happened. Even Hamas has given a statement saying that no hostages will be released till this conflict is over. So getting someone back from Gaza, from where several pictures and photographs and videos are being released of these hostages who have been taken, looks like a very difficult perspective at the moment.
Right, and in terms of people who are being evacuated, of course, the first flight of Indians from Israel has reached Delhi. Tell us a little bit about the situation. More Indians who are waiting there to come back home.
Well, there are around 18,000 Indians here, and most of them are caregivers. There are nurses, there are other paramedics who are here, and they have been living with the elderly here for whom they are caring. There are around 900 students here who are studying at different universities. There are other professionals, diamond technicians. These people are here, and there was a demand that some people wanted to go back, some Indians who were here wanted to go back, and that is the demand which has been facilitated by the government of India. Now 213 Indians have returned on the first flight. They left here last night and they have reached India now, and there might be more such flights, chartered flights, which may take the Indians back if there is a demand regarding it. So but the thing is that the caregivers who have been living with families have mostly moved with those families to wherever they have moved to from southern areas, and these Indians are spread all over Israel. There is no concentration in one particular place, so it is not as if every Indian here wants to go back. So the flights will be operated when and as demanded, and if the numbers are there. So that is how the situation stands at the moment.
Right, and Kadamni, there has been a call for peace from several international players on the international forum. Now, in fact, Blinken met with Netanyahu as well. How do you think the situation is as far as negotiations and peace offering can be made?
Well, that is the crux of the matter. This is the most important factor, that how the negotiations are going on. Now the negotiations actually are for the hostages who have been taken by Hamas terrorists. If you remember, a few years back there was one hostage which was taken from Israel, and that negotiation went on for some time, and he was released only after 5 years. Now in this incident there is not just one Israeli who has been taken hostage. There are more than 100 Israelis, and there are other nationalities, people who have been taken hostage. No negotiation seems to be working. Are there any back channel talks? There might be, but it is not working at the moment, because not a single hostage has been released from those who have been taken to Gaza. So where is this exactly going? So has there been a decision to go ahead with ground assault in spite of the fact that the hostages are there? That is possible only if there has been a decision somewhere in the government, or understanding somewhere in the government, that Hamas is not going to release the terrorists, release the hostages alive, or there is some sort of intelligence that it can be done. They can be rescued if there is a ground assault. Now that is a very difficult situation if there is a ground assault for both the parties, and there would be severe losses. This would be an urban warfare where if the Israeli forces go in, because they would be going into the territory of Hamas, and there are, if you look at the place, it is densely populated. It is a packed place. It is an old place with narrow lanes and underground tunnels from where Hamas has been operating for ages. So how this will turn out for the hostages is anyone's guess. So maybe there is an option, maybe there's no other option, or maybe it is just a pressure tactic, so that Hamas has an ultimatum that if they do not release the hostages within 24 hours, there would be an assault, and it would be a really bloody assault.
Right, that of course is up to speculation, as you say, but of course the US now saying that they're not going to be sending in troops to help fight for Israel, but they continue to back the Israeli cause. Now take us through the amount of military deployment that Israel has put in. Now first we heard the amount of attacks that have been coming in from Hamas, and now we're seeing how Israel has taken on the attack front.
Well, airstrikes have been continuing since day one, since Saturday when this happened, and airstrikes have happened before as well as far as Israel is concerned. But now the numbers are really, really high. Till now we are getting to know there are at least 6,000 strikes in entire Gaza which has been done by Israeli Air Force. Now, that is one of the most important assaults which has been taking place, because that is the only assault that has been taking place. Now, no ground assault is taking place right now. There are some incursions were there at the border where they had rescued people who were there.
Right.
But now, after the mobilization of troops who are gathered at the southern border, and a large number of troops who are also at northern border, where Hezbollah is trying to divert the attention of Israeli forces. So there is a mobilization at both the places, but the build-up at southern borders, which we have seen with our very own eyes, is quite a huge build-up, and it seems that now everything is being put in place so that an assault can be laid at any given minute.